They called him Tricky Dick, but the Nixon family's secrets run far deeper than Watergate. Behind the public image of the 37th president lies a web of strange behaviors, mysterious family ties, and stories that were quietly buried. These are the bizarre, scandalous, and rarely told secrets of the Nixon family, facts that challenge what you thought you knew about one of America's most controversial political dynasties. Number 1. The forgotten brother who was supposed to be president. Before Richard Nixon became the 37th president, the family's hopes rested on his older brother, Harold. Born in 1909, Harold Nixon was charming, athletic, and popular, everything Richard wasn't. But in 1929, Harold developed tuberculosis. The Nixon family moved to Prescott, Arizona, believing the desert air would heal him, but he died in March 1933 at just 24. Their father's risky investment in a failed lemon ranch added financial strain and despair. The family's Quaker beliefs led them to rely more on prayer than medicine, something Richard later avoided discussing publicly. Biographers argue this tragedy drove Nixon's ruthless ambition. He later wrote that Harold had the magic, while he merely had persistence. The weight of being the second choice may have shaped Nixon's dark need to win at all costs. Did Richard Nixon owe his entire political career to his brother's death? Number 2. Pat Nixon's quiet collapse during Watergate. Behind her serene smile, First Lady Pat Nixon was slowly unraveling. Friends and former aides say her depression began long before Watergate, but the scandal pushed her to the brink. She reportedly begged Nixon to resign in early 1974, telling him, "You're killing yourself and me too." As the scandal deepened, Pat began drinking in private and withdrew from nearly all public duties. According to White House medical memos, she was prescribed tranquilizers, though this was never publicly disclosed. Rosemary Woods once said Pat was like a ghost haunting the East Wing. In her final White House interview, Pat spoke just 3 sentences. Nixon biographer Elizabeth Drew noted, "She endured Watergate with more dignity than anyone, but it cost her everything." Pat would later die in 1993 from lung cancer, just 1 year before Nixon himself. Was Pat Nixon the true casualty of the Watergate scandal? Number 3. Tricia Nixon's wedding, real love or public stunt? Tricia Nixon's June 1971 Rose Garden wedding to Edward Cox was pure White House spectacle, broadcast live to over 50 million Americans. But behind the smiles and cameras, some staffers believed the wedding was staged to boost Nixon's image amid anti-war protests and plunging approval. Trisha, always the more private of Nixon's daughters, all but vanished from public view after the event. Edward Cox, a rising star at Cravath Law Firm, avoided the media entirely. By the 1980s, their rare joint appearances fueled rumors of a private separation. According to journalist Kitty Kelly, the couple had signed a discreet agreement to live independently but quietly. Unlike Julie Nixon, who defended her father publicly, Tricia never gave interviews. Even today, photos of them together are exceedingly rare. Was their marriage a fairy tale or the most elegant cover-up in presidential history? Number 4. Nixon's chilling relationship with psychic Jeane Dixon. It sounds absurd, but Nixon was obsessed with psychic Jeane Dixon. Famous for predicting JFK's assassination, Dixon caught Nixon's attention during his vice presidency and remained in his orbit well into the White House years. H.R. Haldeman's diary reveals Nixon occasionally consulted her published forecasts. In 1971, Dixon sent Pat Nixon a private note warning of a great betrayal from within Nixon's inner circle. Some later linked this to John Dean's testimony. Nixon, superstitious by nature, reportedly canceled a foreign trip after reading one of her ominous predictions. He once told an aide, "There are things no intelligence report can explain." Though staffers ridiculed the obsession, Dixon's warnings often left Nixon rattled. Her final note arrived just weeks before the Watergate tapes were subpoenaed. Coincidence or prophecy? Number 5. Donald Nixon and the loan that nearly took down a presidency. In 1956, Richard Nixon's younger brother Donald accepted a $205,000 loan from eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes to keep his drive-in restaurant chain afloat. On paper, it looked like business until it surfaced in 1960, during Nixon's campaign against John F. Kennedy. The Kennedy team leaked it to the press, implying corruption and conflict of interest. Though Nixon denied involvement, internal memos show he was livid, telling his team, Don's idiocy may have just handed Jack the presidency. The scandal damaged Nixon's credibility and haunted him for decades. Incredibly, during the Watergate era, Donald's name resurfaced when it was revealed that Hughes had continued offering political donations and influence. One FBI memo even questioned whether Nixon had kept his brother close to keep him quiet. The deal wasn't illegal, but it was politically radioactive. Number 6. The strange disappearance and reappearance of Pat Nixon. In the final summer of Nixon's presidency, the First Lady's sudden absence sparked one of the most bizarre rumors in post-Watergate America. Between June and August 1974, Pat Nixon missed several scheduled appearances and press photos, including a key July 4th celebration where she was expected to stand beside her husband. When she did appear weeks later, reporters noted she looked different, her hair shorter, makeup subtler, demeanor stiffer. Conspiracy theorists pounced, claiming Pat had left Nixon and was replaced by a lookalike for public events. While mainstream media ignored the theory, fringe newsletters and radio hosts ran with it. One underground article in Ramparts magazine even claimed an unnamed White House staffer confirmed the existence of a stand-in. Though never substantiated, the story lingered in conspiracy circles well into the 1990s, especially after Pat again disappeared from view during Nixon's post-resignation years. Her own silence only added to the mystery. Pat gave no interviews, wrote no memoir, and was rarely photographed again until her death in 1993. Was she truly exhausted and reclusive, or was the truth stranger than fiction? Number 7. The Sister Feud that tore the family apart. Julie Nixon Eisenhower and Tricia Nixon Cox may have smiled in public, but behind closed doors, they were rivals from childhood. Trisha, the poised debutante, was groomed for public appearances, while Julie, the intellectual daughter, became Nixon's confidant. Her 1968 marriage to David Eisenhower, grandson of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, cemented her political standing, reportedly frustrating Trisha. During Watergate, Julie actively defended their father, writing op-eds and giving interviews, while Trisha remained silent. Aides noticed growing tension, with one recalling Trisha's remark, "Julie wants to be president more than Dad ever did." After Nixon's resignation, the sisters reportedly didn't speak for years, and biographers say the rift lasted well into the 1990s. Number 8. Nixon's panic room obsession. In 1970, while still president, Nixon ordered the construction of a private escape room beneath La Casa Pacifica, his estate in San Clemente, California. Costing over $150,000 at the time, equivalent to more than $1 million today, the room was equipped with a generator, a secure radio line, and a direct tunnel to a nearby helipad. Secret Service logs show Nixon visited the room over a dozen times after his resignation, especially following the publication of the final days in 1976, which he believed was part of a smear campaign. Number 9. The church Nixon almost founded. Disgraced and desperate for legacy repair, Nixon seriously considered founding a faith-based political group in 1975 to regain influence through moral leadership. Documents discovered by Don Folsom in the Nixon archives reference a Restoration America initiative and include outlines for televised sermons, spiritual lectures, and partnerships with Billy Graham. Nixon's team even drafted a prospectus for a Nixon-founded American Renewal Church in Dallas, though Graham ultimately distanced himself, calling the plan inappropriate for a former president. Number 10. The mysterious locked box in Nixon's estate. When Richard Nixon died on April 22, 1994, Secret Service agents inventorying his belongings at San Clemente discovered a small steel lockbox stashed behind a wall panel. According to Julie Nixon Eisenhower's private memoir notes, the box was not to be opened, not to be shared, per her father's written instructions. Rumors have circulated that it contained letters between Nixon and foreign leaders like Mao Zedong or Leonid Brezhnev, or worse, unreleased tapes never turned over during Watergate. To this day, its contents remain unknown, and its last known custodian refused interviews.